Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my dear learners. I am Dr. Mohammad Tanveer from Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Jamia Millia Islamia. For this session, our topic is creative and gifted children. As a teacher, you may have come across different types of children. Some who get high marks, some who get low marks, some who give unusual answers, some who are good in singing, some who are good in play or some other activities. You may also have come across the word like gifted children, talented children, and creative children. In this video, we will attempt to clarify these terms and to consider the method of identifying such children. The special problem faced by these children and ways of helping them will also be discussed in this video. The early identification of such children and methods of developing their special abilities will be of major importance. The learning outcome of these videos are, after completing this video, after watching this lesson, you should be prepared for state the meaning of giftedness and creativity. Recognize the importance of giftedness and creativity. Given situation, identified the gifted and creative children. Recognize the different problems of gifted and creative children. Suggest measures to guide such children and suggest alternative ways of developing giftedness and creativity in children. To achieve these learning objectives, we will discuss one by one about meaning of giftedness, then we will come to conception of giftedness, importance of gifted children and importance of giftedness among children, traits which are common to gifted children and misconceptions around it. Then we will discuss about the characteristics of children with giftedness and their peculiar problems which are associated with this giftedness. Problems of children having this special ability by which they are recognized as gifted children. We will also discuss myths and misconceptions as I told before. We will see the best practices for teaching gifted students and what are those practices which should be avoided while dealing with such students. We will discuss about how to guide such children and how to promote giftedness and creativity in class among your students. Then in the last, we will summarize the lesson and go to the exercise and critical thinking sections. First of all, the first question is, what is giftedness? What does it mean to be a gifted child? Actually, there is no broadly accepted definition. It is based on the situation. Schools generally look at ability and intelligence tests, but do not all use the same standard. All schools do not use the same standards. For example, one school might consider students at the top 10% are gifted, while another school might only consider the top 2.5% as gifted students, which may or may not be in actual scenario. Other professionals define giftedness as intelligence test score above 130. For children that might mean they are gifted according to one school and not in another school, which can be confusing for students and parents too. So, we will discuss conception of giftedness in detail. Actually, understanding giftedness can be challenging because there are many different opinions, but each add to our understanding. Joseph Ranzoli's well-known work on giftedness included three aspects known as the three-ring conception of giftedness. Gifted behavior occur where the three rings intersect. The three ring includes above average ability, number 1. Number 2, creativity and task commitment. Number 1 is above average ability. Number 2 is creativity. And number 3 is task commitment. Under these conceptions, a child with above average ability would not be gifted unless creativity and task commitment criteria were also present. Ranzoli's more recent work concentrate on personality and environment. Robert Sternberg suggests giftedness comprise insight skills, especially in three areas: cognitive area, experiential area, and practical area. Sternberg did not view giftedness as an isolated, well-defined concept, but rather one that comes in different forms. A brief description of each area of giftedness or talent as defined by the Office of Gifted and Talented will help you to understand the definition. Let's discuss it one by one. Number 1. General intellectual ability or talent. A common man, teacher and educator alike usually consider this in terms of high intelligence. Those people who are high in intelligence are known to be gifted. Actually, teachers and educators alike usually consider giftedness in terms of a high intelligence score, usually 2 standard definition above the mean on individual or group measures. Parents and teachers often recognize children in general intellectual talent by their wide-ranging fund of general information and high level of vocabulary, memory, abstract world knowledge, and abstract reasoning. Other sources generally cite IQ score and their label something like IQ score of 85 to 99 as lower normal, a person with IQ score of 100 to 114 as upper normal, while the person with IQ score of 115 to 129 as bright, and the person with IQ score 130 to 144 as gifted, while the person who could score 145 to 159 IQ are treated as highly gifted or known to be highly gifted, while the people or the person or the students having IQ score of 160 or above are known as profoundly gifted. Number 2, a specific academic aptitude or talent is also considered as giftedness. Children with a specific academic aptitude are identified by their outstanding performance in an achievement or aptitude test in one area such as mathematics, or identify students with a specific academic aptitude who score at the 97th percentile or higher on a standard achievement test, and then give these students a scholastic aptitude test. Remarkably, large number of students score at this higher level. The third area where giftedness is considered is creative and productive thinking. This is the ability to produce new ideas by bringing together elements usually thought of as independent or dissimilar, and the aptitude for developing new meaning that have social values. Characteristics of creative and productive children's openness to experience, setting personal standards for evaluation, ability to play with ideas, willingness to take risk, preference for complexity, tolerance for ambiguity, positive self-image, and the ability to become submerged in a task. Creative and productive children are identified through the use of such tests like Torrance test of creative thinking, or through demonstrate creative performance. The fourth area where giftedness are attributed is the leadership ability. Leadership can be defined as the ability to direct individual or groups to a common decision or action. Children who demonstrate giftedness in leadership ability use group skills and negotiate in different or difficult situations. Many teachers recognize leadership through a children's keen interest and skill in problem solving. Leadership characteristics: self-confidence, responsibility, cooperation, a tendency to dominate, and the ability to adapt readily to the new situations. These children can be identified through instruments such as fundamental interpersonal relation orientation behavior test. The fifth area, which is usually attributed toward giftedness, is visual and performing arts. Gifted children with talent in the arts demonstrate special talents in visual art, music, dance, drama, or other related studies also. These children can be identified by using task-suitable techniques. And the sixth and last area, which sometimes attributed with giftedness, is excellence in psychomotor ability. This involves kinesthetic motor ability such as practical, spatial, mechanical, and physical skills. It is seldom used as a criterion in gifted programs, but a person who has great, wonderful spatial ability or who is expert with mechanical abilities or the physical skills are also considered as gifted in our society. Now, after going through such a long discussion of what giftedness is, let's discuss what are the importance of giftedness. Any society progress on the abilities of gifted and creative people. Arnaud Tanabe has said that progress of all societies dependent on the creative minority. The creative people would invent and create ideas which would be put into practice by the gifted people. Societies have declined because of their lack of interest in creativity. Talented people invent new ideas, find new ways of using things, produce gadgets, etc., etc. All the electronic gadgets which you use, all the machines, all the military equipments with which a country boasts, or all the vehicles, these all are the product of creative thinking only. In a school, we generally find gifted children. As a teacher, we should have knowledge regarding their abilities, regarding their problem and methods of helping such children. That's why this lesson is important for you as a future teacher. Before going further, I would like to discuss in detail about the traits which are common to gifted children, as well as I will discuss the misconceptions around it. The gifted students bring unique energy to the classroom, although with a wide variety of characteristics that often play a role in the efficacy of their education. Gifted students come from all culture, socio-economic background, ethnic background, caste and creeds. In every society, in every culture, in every group, a gifted person may be present. It is critical to keep in mind that because gifted students often experience uneven development in key areas such as social development, cognitive development and physical development, therefore we need to consider the whole student when formulating a game plan for their educational experience. Gifted students can have wide and varied interests, or they can be extremely focused on one area of interest. They can be highly sensitive emotionally and learn material easily and quickly. We often see that students who are gifted have acquired language at an accelerated level of their age, and their vocabulary is stronger than what is considered age appropriate. These students often teach themselves to read and write, while in preschool their acquisition of basic skill is a strong suit. When you are dealing with students who are gifted, it is not unusual to find that they have a sense of humor that is not typical for someone of their age. In keeping with that level of sophistication, they may also be interested in political issues and concerned about the social issues. It should come as no surprise that these students tend to present with a sense of justice that is highly sensitive. With their vivid imagination, their tendency to ask questions that reach far below the surface, and their ability to tackle abstract concepts, it is no wonder that teaching gifted students require you to be on your toes. A number of traits which are commonly found among those children who come within generally accepted definition of giftedness is listed, and we will discuss it also. When deciding the applicability of these traits to a particular child, teacher must be conscious of the fact that the comparison is being made with the age peer group of the child under consideration. It is unlikely that the gifted child will exhibit all the traits, but it is likely that a gifted child will exhibit many of the traits which we are going to discuss here. Also, when we will be discussing those traits, we should know that the characteristics of gifted children and talented children are also associated with a few behavioral problems. Let's discuss those so that you know them well. A gifted or a talented child may learn quickly and easily, have ability to abstract and reason, critically see relationship between ideas and events, but due to this they become bored and frustrated, dislike repetition and shallow curriculum, hide abilities to gain acceptance, receive negative adult attitude. A gifted child may exhibit verbal proficiency, and with this he or she may dominate discussion, have difficulty with listening skills and exhibit some manipulative behaviors also. A gifted child may have a very high energy level, and because of this he or she need less sleep, become frustrated with inactivity and lack of challenges or active inquiry. A gifted student may exhibit heightened curiosity and take too many activities at the same time. Such a student may be extremely persistent, concentrate on tasks of high interest for extended period of time, but they may also disrupt class routine, feel stifled by restrictions of class and schools, resist interruption or schedules perceived as stubborn, uncooperative. The gifted student may exhibit different learning styles. They usually have an accelerated learning. They do mastery over their subject and achieve better. They have a desire for depth of knowledge and need to experience they have emotional investment in their subject, and they are too much imaginative in nature. And because of this, they become frustrated with the absence of progress, be prone to being overridden or motivated by the results. They may be resistant to interruption and or resistance to any activity that may seem as a wastage of time to them. Gifted students may exhibit unusual emotional depth and intensity, and because of this, they usually are vulnerable, feel confused if thoughts and feelings are not taken very seriously. Such students may be highly sensitive, be acutely perceptive also, and because of this, such students are perceived as immature sometimes, try to mask feeling to conform the vulnerable of criticism. Some gifted students may be concerned with moral issues and they may be idealistic, and because of this, they attempt unrealistic reforms, feel frustrated, angry, depressed, develop a cynical attitude, receive intolerance from their peers or the people of same age. Usually, gifted children aims at perfection. They set unrealistically high goal, feel inadequate, feel frustrated with others. They fear failure, which may inhibit their attempts in new areas. But on the same time, a gifted child may exhibit independence and non-conformity. Due to this, they have a tendency to challenge and question indiscreetly. They have difficulty with rigid conformity and may be penalized, exhibit rebellious behavior. Some of the gifted child may have heightened self-awareness, feeling of being different, and because of this, they experience social isolations, labeled as different, or which may result in low self-esteem among his or her peer groups. Some gifted students have a keen sense of humor. They may use humor inappropriately or to attack others, feel confused when humor is not understood by others, and feel reacted by the others. Some gifted students possess unusual imagination, and they may be seen as weird, stifled by the lack of creative opportunities. Some gifted students may respond and relate to the older children and adults, and because of this, they may experience social isolation among their peer group. They may be seen as someone who are showing off, odd, superior, critical, or ultimately may be rejected by their peer group. So, as a teacher, you may come across many gifted children, and on the same line, you may come across their problems. For example, we have already discussed many of them. Let's just summarize it. The child may have some problem of adjustment and has developed superiority feeling. The child may feel isolated. Class work was very easy and so boring to him. The child may get bullied because of age. Child may be pressurized by family, which he may not like. The teacher may not like him because of questions. The child seems to have problems of social adjustment. The parents and teachers may not like him because of his unusual questions, because of his unusual ideas. The child may not like the classwork challenging and may resort to the playful daydreaming. The creative or the gifted child may be nicknamed and may feel uncomfortable. He or she may feel that opportunities are not being provided to him. So these are some of the common problems associated with gifted children. As a teacher, you need to take care of them. In our society, when it is usually seen that when a word comes with the general people, its meaning or its concept get distorted. The same has happened with giftedness also. There are many myths and misconceptions around this word or around such people. As you are going to deal with as a future teacher, it's necessary for you to know those myths and misconceptions. There are many myths and misconceptions, especially when we look at the classroom setting. Often, this group of students is the most misunderstood student in the education system. The number one myth which I would like to discuss is that gifted students can learn on their own. Gifted students can learn on their own. Many educators believe this. For example, that gifted students can do just fine learning on their own because they are curious, self-initiators. The truth of the matter is, just as a pastry chef who is learning to make something new needs the guiding hand of an experienced and accomplished pastry chef, a gifted students need guidance and directions. A talented, engaged teacher can provide it. It is true that gifted students have innate ability, but just like any ability, it is needed to be fostered and developed in order to reach its potential. The second myth around gifted children are that gifted students know all the answers. Some people assume that gifted and talented students know all the answers to the question asked in class. While this group of students is incredibly able, we have come to realize that they will frequently only engage with material that they find interesting. If the material is boring to them, then gifted students will not make much effort to learn what is being presented to them. It is important to pay close attention to the questions the student is asking to ascertain which subjects are naturally engaging and which ones are not. You will need to help the gifted students learn to find engagement in topics they don't initially find interesting. This can often be a challenging task. The number 3 myth, which is around the gifted students in the classroom, is that gifted students are easier to teach. Many people think that gifted students are easier to teach than the mainstream students because they have issues with authority and their ability to turn off and turn out when they think something is boring is finely tuned. Teaching these students means you have to work harder. A teacher may have to present concept in as many as different ways. You will need to be flexible and willing to change your method on the fly to meet the need of these gifted students. The fourth myth is gifted students are always happy and popular because he is gifted. Of course, many gifted students are happy and popular and thrive in a school environment, but sadly this is not the case for all. Some gifted students do not share their classmate interest and they are often left out. In this case, school become a place of torment rather than enjoyment. Gifted students may view the world differently than their classmate, causing schools to be tough road. The fifth myth around the gifted child is that a child with a learning disability can't be gifted. There is a misconception that a child with learning disability can't be gifted. Twice exceptional children who are both gifted as well as learning disabled are often not considered gifted for this reason. Why? They are gifted in some area, but because they are learning disabled, they are not considered gifted. Our goal should be to pay attention to the strength of the child, the strength which the child has, and use them to improve their disabilities. In other words, we need to let their giftedness work for them. The sixth myth around this is, a child who is gifted in one subject is gifted in all subjects. Some assume that a child who is gifted in one subject must be gifted in unrelated subjects also. However, a child who is gifted in English may not excel in mathematics, and vice versa is also true. Don't rush into a place a child who excels in one area into other advanced classes. This could be a recipe for failure. Make sure to establish the area where the child is gifted before placement takes place to ensure the most successful or the most success for the student. Teaching gifted student is challenging and rewarding at the same time. But in order to manage the task with success, it is important to understand who the gifted child is, what they bring to the classroom, and what myth regarding this type of students needing to be busted. Understanding the myth and misconceptions surrounding teaching gifted students will help teacher to create a classroom that is more engaging and better meet the need of these students. So, in the next section, we will discuss about the special need of gifted students. Actually, gifted students may become distant from other children or may struggle to get along with others. They have been pushed to learn and create and can't relate to children who don't learn as quickly. Additionally, they may get bored with their school work if they are not challenged. What should be done to meet their special needs? Number 1. Interactions with other students. Many gifted students are talented in one or more specific area. However, gifted child may struggle with relating to other children or have effective communication skills. As a teacher, you can provide gifted kid many positive opportunities to interact with other students. By learning to play, learn, teach, talk and engage with other students, gifted kid can strengthen their social skills. Number 2. Attention. While kids who struggle with or work at the class pace may get more attention, gifted children often do their work easily and quickly. This means they may get pushed aside, especially when your time and energy must go to the student who need extra care. This is usually the case with most of the teachers. Knowing this, you decide to create a special group for the gifted kid. During this weekly group time, you work on project or activities that are more advanced and require skills above the ability of other kids. You assign such activities to those gifted children. As a teacher, it is important to provide the same focus and attention to the gifted children and their need as it is to support the remainder of the student. Number 3. Accommodating gifted students or accommodating those childs. Creating a plan to engage gifted kids in activities at their level is critical to their continued development and interest in learning. There are ways to create special learning opportunities for gifted students. For example, let's consider some of the ways by which you can create opportunities for those gifted students. Number 1, like parent volunteering. Ask one or more parent of your gifted students to help develop a special program with weekly fun learning opportunities. Not only will the parent have an understanding of the general ability of the child, they may have resources and materials that meet the student's level and need if the parents are educated. Number 2, like partner with other teachers. Create a gifted student group that you take turn teaching. You may select a topic that is carried out throughout the quarter or develop independent classes each week. The purpose is to acknowledge gifted kids and keep them involved in learning. Number 3, special opportunities. Creating some special opportunities, like there are numerous grants and programs available for the gifted students. You may arrange these. Spend some time researching on the options and applying the opportunities for your kids. You may get resources, supplies and money that can be used to support the learning of gifted students through some scholarship activities. Now it is the time to discuss some of the best practices which should be done while taking care of or while involved with teaching learning activity with gifted students. Gifted students can sometimes be challenging to work with because they do not necessarily respond to the traditional instruction pattern. Here are some of the practices that will help gifted students excel in your class. The number 1 among the best practices, I would like to call it flexibility. Try not to force gifted students to adhere to rigid academic or social expectations. Give them a bit of leeway. Maybe they have finished their work quickly and need more time to read independently or work on their own projects. Maybe they get very invested in their work and end up needing more time than the rest of the class. Your assignment may not be completed on time because the child is too much deep into your assignment. Being flexible about your expectation will help gifted students find their unique way, strength and ways of learning and working. The second approach or the second practice which are good for involvement with gifted students is differentiation. Differentiation means changing both your goal and your instructional practices to meet the need of a student with a wide range of abilities and struggles. You can differentiate by using more small group instruction, giving a student different assignment and developing long-term plans with them, and that students can approach through a variety of entry points. Gifted students thrive on differentiation because of its built-in flexibility and room for creativity. Third practice is encouraging inquiry and independence among those gifted children. Gifted students often have many questions of their own. You can encourage this spirit of inquiry by making time and space in your classroom for students to lead their own learning by researching answers to their questions in a creative way. Encouraging inquiry also allows students to develop a sense of investment in their work and habits and research that will allow them to work independently and fulfill their potentials. After discussing some of the practices or some of the to-dos with the gifted children, now let's discuss what are some of those things which should be avoided. Teachers who do not understand the challenges of working with gifted students may resort to practice that are not helpful to those students. I am trying to tell some of the practices which should be avoided. It can be tempting to assign your gifted students tutor a struggling learner. However, this can be frustrating to both the parties. A gifted students not necessarily the gifted teachers also, and will not automatically show the patience and insights that struggling students need. So you should not assign the work of tutor to those gifted students assuming that they must be a very good teacher also. Furthermore, gifted students will feel frustrated by the demand on them and the lack of opportunity to learn more at their own pace and interest level. They would like to learn more if you engage them with their peer groups in tutoring. It will reduce his or her opportunity to learn more. Number 2, the second practice which should be avoided is giving extra assignment. And by extra assignment, I mean same assignment in greater quantity without adding challenges. Students who are gifted should be allowed to complete more challenging assignment and work independently. However, this does not mean they should be given just extra work. Giving students more of the same work is frustrating and can be construed as a punishment. It also prevents students from taking a sense of ownership to their own learning. The fourth practice which should be avoided is demanding total accuracy from gifted students. Setting your expectation too high. It might seem like you should not allow gifted students to proceed to the next level in their work until they can complete the grade level expectation with 100% accuracy. However, this is an unfair expectation. While you should expect accuracy and care in your gifted students' work, demonstrating a quickness to learn as well as a fundamental understanding of the concepts are sufficient for them to advance to a new level of challenge. Some students' accuracy may actually improve when working at a level that suits their cognitive and creative capacities. Let's discuss that how can we guide such children. What are those things which we should keep in mind while guiding a gifted child? Number one is patiently listen to their questions and ideas. See, these points are not only applicable to the gifted children, but yes, they need it. You need to practice this a lot while you have been assigned as a guide or you are guiding some gifted child. Patiently listen to their questions and ideas. Do not interrupt or do not demean them. Do not evaluate their questions immediately. Never do this. Maybe you are not thinking in that way with which he or she is thinking. You can give them suggestions and show them different ways of work. Help them by asking them to suggest alternatives also. You should maintain a free and non-threatening atmosphere in the class. Free and non-threatening atmosphere while you meet them, while you guide them, and you should suggest special programs that are available to them. They may not be knowing it, but you, in position of guide as a teacher, should know those programs which are available for such gifted students. For example, collect information regarding special programs and facilities and keep them handy to give it to those students. You work as facilitator. So, what are those opportunities or what are those special programs and facilities which may be available to them? It is like provision of special schools like Sarvodaya Vidyalaya, Navodaya Vidyalaya, or any such place or any such special opportunity which is available to them. For example, the enrichment lesson, reference book, and where those books are available, information regarding those things like NCERT publications, DSCERT or SSC publications, or any such publications who publish such reference books or such enrichment lessons, etc., etc. Books related to the creativity development like puzzle book, crossword puzzles, UNICEF project, or there are many projects which keep on going. The standard creativity development program and where they are available. Informations regarding those programs should be with you and you should suggest to attend those programs to those gifted childs. There are many programs like National Talent Search Examinations is one of them. Its subset, how to apply in those exams, you should guide regarding those things. Giving them science fiction books or referring them science fiction books so that their imagination and their creativity get a boost on. Introducing them to the society for promotion of rock climbing like activity wherever those such societies are available, you should have information about those and you should advise them to join such activities if they like it. Bal Bhavan in NCERT There are many other institutions which do such activities to enhance the creativity and giftedness among students. If you have information about the acceleration program which are available and in which institutions they are available, at what time it is available, you should have information about this and guide those students with your informations. Some of us may become a parent of those students. So let's discuss the parents' role in counseling the gifted children. How can we make a balance between home and school techniques? As a parent, how can we make a balance between this? Actually, parents are often the first to notice their child learns more rapidly, remember more, does things in more advanced ways and learn differently from their peer group. Most educators have heard a parent say, "I think my child is gifted," and sometimes the parent is correct. Here I am going to say some useful points for the parent to keep in mind as they actively participate in counseling and guidance role with their gifted child. While it can be said that no two gifted children are alike, no two gifted children are alike, general principles do seem to apply in this area, particularly when the children are young. As a parent, you should assist and encourage your child's special interest to the degree that family is compatible in doing so, including such sacrifices as are willingly made. Do not feel, however, that the gifted child's interests and wishes should take precedence over all other family members and their needs. As a parent, you should be alert to a spontaneous expression of interest in the environment. Provide additional opportunities to acquire knowledge and experience in these areas. Encourage self-initiated exploration of environment, material, activities available while providing sufficient safeguard to prevent injuries. As a parent, you should be attentive to the development of good listening and communication skills among your children. Active listening to your child and encourage expression of thought and feeling both verbally and non-verbally. The tiny toddler with limited language can still graphically relate to the experience of watching daddy's plane land at the airport and duck feeding in a pond, even the sad tale of a bird flying into the picture window, complete with appropriate facial expression and sound effect. Be sensitive to the child's mood, degree of well-being, for example, fatigue, illness, overstimulation, and allow for lapse in performance level without being critical. As a parent, you should broaden the child's personal, social, physical, and learning environment through activities which take into account physical, social, and intellectual development. Do not underestimate his or her ability to profit from activities which might not normally be associated with chronological age. Let the child set the pace. First experience may need to be largely observational with a degree of active participation, increasing encouragement, equipment, and special lesson. You should be geared to the degree of interest the child demonstrates. Encouragement and support of the child's demonstrated interest will nurture the development of self-help skill, acceptance, confidence, and self-reliance. As a parent, you should encourage the development of self-help skills, acceptance, responsibility, and the ability to follow through the activities. The child should quickly be involved with and become responsible for putting away any toy and cloth, for dressing and toilet activities, and for asserting others' family member in the routine of daily life. As a parent, you should encourage the development of child's natural bent for moral and ethical behavior and for community service. Gifted children usually display an intense interest in fair play and resent an unequal treatment of their peer and themselves. They also show an interest in learning which extend to the learning of others. Thus, they often make natural tutor and derived enjoyment from activities which offer little challenge to them as individuals but provide the opportunity for them to assist children young or less able than themselves. But do not impose such a job on them. They also readily understand philanthropic activity at an early age and get much satisfaction out of participation in community projects. As a parent, you should encourage your child to be self-reliant and resourceful. The gifted child can readily become his or her own best advocate in the community. Help the child earn to become acquainted with community resources such as libraries, museums, and other educational and vocational resources. Transportation and communication network provide opportunities for mastering these skills which facilitate access to and use such resources. Also assist your child in becoming aware of human resources and acknowledge him or her to seek out others who can share a special interest and those who have expertise to further the child development. As a parent, you should talk to your child as you care for him or her. You should expose your child to music, art object, reading, and a variety of activities. Provide a variety of material to them. Note the children's preference and involve the child in decision early by toast, a bath before or after dinner. Now it is the time to sum up the today's learning. In today's class, this video program, we learned that since psychologists do not agree on the concept of intelligence, it is no surprise that there are numerous views regarding giftedness also. What can be agreed upon is that gifted children have different educational and social needs than their same age classmates. Also, there are characteristics that are common among gifted children, including the boundless energy, advanced problem solving, advanced language comprehension, intense focus, and advanced humor. Gifted students bring an intellectual dynamic to the classroom that need to be nurtured and guided to grow and thrive. A vivid imagination, a keen sense of humor, and ability to learn information quickly and easily are some of the characteristics these students have in common. There are many misconceptions swirling around this particular group of students, but what they need are teachers who are willing to meet their individual needs. We discussed that teaching gifted students is complicated but rewarding. When working with these students, try to remember their humanity as well as their special need for creative and complex instruction. Allow gifted learner the time and space to figure out the ways to meet their own cognitive need and work to their full potential. By differentiating, making room for flexibility, encouraging inquiry, and avoiding common pitfalls and assumptions, you will learn to be a strong teacher of gifted students. We also discussed that understanding the different needs of gifted students in the classroom can be a challenge, but also provide an opportunity to help advanced students continue to grow. By understanding the need of gifted students, a teacher can provide advanced learning opportunities and keep the kid engaged in learning at their level. There are several things a teacher can do to help gifted students, including supporting their social skills, challenging them at the learning level, involving parent volunteer, parenting with others teachers, and seek out special opportunities. The characteristics and problem of these children and how to guide them have also been discussed in detail. Measures to foster giftedness and creativity was discussed, but there can be a number of other ways to do such things also. All such children are present in our class and opportunities are to be provided to them so that they can come up in school and society at large. We may not be able to put them at par with the great scientists or famous poets, painters, but each one can reach a higher level of his or her capacity. Now it is the time to take some critical thinking points and exercises. On the slide, you have a few questions. Try to do it at your own pace. Thank you for being the part of this program. Thanks a lot.